My name's Israel Melton, and I've been in recovery for 15 years. And I have mild anxiety. I guess drug addiction led to poverty. Um, in brief, my story is I was raised correctly, no issues, no drugs in the family. Started using probably 13. My gateway drug was alcohol. You always hear the gateway drugs, marijuana. That wasn't the case for me. I drank way before marijuana. And then I found that I liked the feeling, and if it made me sick, if I done more, it made me feel better. And through time, I went from drinking to smoking marijuana, and then it went to pills. And at the latter days of my addiction, I was on methamphetamine and OxyContin, and those are what my drug of choice was. And those led to me basically giving away everything I loved because I loved the drugs more than the things that were important to me at the time. Drugs took away my ambition. They made me a shell of a person. And the best way I know to describe it is I was physically sick, emotionally numb, and spiritually bankrupt. So I'm sick all the time. I'm an emotional wreck. I'm worried about what people's thinking about me. And spiritually, when I say I'm spiritually bankrupt, I meant I'm hopeless. And at the end, I'm living in a cotton gin, using the bathroom in a 5-gallon bucket, and I felt like I had it going on. I had racked up some felonies and done some jail time. Actually overdosed once when I went to jail, airlifted from the jail to the hospital, and while in the hospital, I'd done more drugs. So death was not enough to deter me from using. The judicial system was not enough. The grip of addiction is more powerful than any of that. And that's kind of, in a nutshell, my story of addiction, poverty, and some mental health issues there. I didn't really take control. I believe God intervened and put the police and the legal system there to make it almost impossible for me to do anything on my will, because left up to my will, I would have failed. If it was just up to me to quit, I don't believe I would have ever hit the rock bottom I needed before I died. So lucky for me, and I know at the time when I was arrested, I didn't think it was lucky, but looking back in hindsight, I was blessed that I was arrested. And, the disease of addiction affects the whole family. And I can remember my mom saying the best nights of sleep she had is when I was in jail. And that made me so angry. And, but looking back, I mean, addiction's a terrible disease, but the families actually suffer all the consequences and don't even get the buzz. So what happens is the whole family dynamic is affected. And I was placed in jail, and when I got out of jail, jail changed me. I decided I didn't want to live that way anymore, so I went to a rehab, and I spent about 13 months in rehab. And in rehab, they taught me how to live on life's terms without alcohol and drugs. And they taught me a couple definitions of insanity. And one was doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. But the one that really applied to me was insanity means you can be surrounded by complete danger and feel perfectly safe. I could be around felons, guns, needles, drugs, and feel perfectly safe. But if you send a bunch of people with Bibles or AA or NA books, I'm scared to death. So, I mean, that's basically how I ended up making that step in the right direction. And what I tell everybody, the first step is always surrender. I had to realize that meth, opiates, all drugs had kicked my butt, and if I went back, it was basically leading with the chin. It was going to beat me up again. And I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Okay, today I do a gratitude list every morning, every single morning. And a lot of people think it has to be in depth, but for me, gratitude is just, some days I'm just grateful that I'm not dope sick. Some days I'm grateful that I have a job or what, and then some days it's deeper. And I cope and I maintain my sobriety by staying in touch with people in recovery. I've learned once you're in recovery and once you have got off drugs, the people that are doing that stuff don't come around. So when I hear people say, I couldn't get away from drugs, or, I'm from Benton County, and people used to say, I can't be in Benton County. Everybody in Benton County does drugs. That's not true. Everybody I hung out with in Benton County did drugs. And once I sobered up, I realized that the people who are on drugs, they don't want to be around me because in their mind, I'm the police anyway. And if I'm working a proper program of recovery, I am perfectly fine with people thinking I'm the police, because the police basically saved my life. And I go to AA, NA meetings. If I keep my mental health checked, I'm a firm believer that addiction, I call it co-occurring. I'm a firm believer that mental illness and addiction are hand in hand. Of course, I had drug-induced psychosis, and once the drugs left, the psychosis left. But I still have this guilt and this shame and anxiety and all kinds of issues that I have to take care of. So, I mean, basically for me, going to bed and waking up is huge, because in addiction, I pass out and come to. So it's a totally different life. Don't give up. Don't lose hope. Those relationships that are lost, they can be retrieved. The things you thought was not possible is 100% possible. Accept help. Accept that people are not going to understand, and that's okay. Quit worrying about being understood. Worry more about understanding what's going on with you. I'm a prime example. I'm a single dad. I raise all of my kids. I have full custody of my kids. I'm a productive member of society. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.